How's it going, everyone? Wish everyone a happy Memorial Day. Today's Memorial Day, and like usual, I'm working. I don't really do too much anything other than work, but wanted to show a little tip. If you know, beaver's all the new thing with the beaver prices, and that last auction went really well also. So you know, it seems like the beaver fur market is still holding on pretty good there. So I just wanted to show a little tip here. If you make your own drowning rods out of rebar, and if you also make your own drowning locks, I've did a video. Oh heck, been doing this YouTube now probably for a little over a year or so, about a year ago or even longer. I don't quite remember there. I showed making this drowning lock, and I like this square tube drowning lock a lot. This one has a 1/4 inch tab. You don't need to use a 1/4 inch. 3/16 will hold. They do bend if you yank up on them or whatever. They get caught on something real bad and you're tugging on it real hard, and that 3/16 will start to bend. But other than that, they hold up very, very well. I have a lot of drowning rods with the Hags lock. I love them. They work great. And they also have a bunch of universal things for like fiberglass rods, and I think even they work on the rebar ones too. But I'm a steel guy. I like steel, and I like everything that I use to be steel. That's just because I like making it myself too, and it's rather fun for me. But back to it here. If you do use 1/2 inch rebar, I got a drowning rod here that I'm getting ready to do this on. I already have the washer welded down at the bottom. I weld my washers about a foot up because there's no point in having it any lower than that foot, because if you're not putting that end into the ground, the foot, to begin with, then yeah, you really don't want to be using a rod. Probably switch to like chain with a anchor. I know I've never showed it before in any of my videos, but if it's really, really bad to where I can't get a rod rammed in out into the water there, I use chain instead of cable. And that's because my lock that I like to use works on the chain as well. And chain, just it'll last forever. Cable won't. I mean, you can get quite a few uses out of cable drowners. You can get a lot of uses out of drowners. If they get it pulled up and start wrapping it around everything and that, then it starts to render it useless. Me, I love my rebar ones. Pretty much, if I can't get my rebar in that location, I go looking for another location where I can. You know, beaver travel the whole area of the water system that you're already in if you found sign of them. Just some spots are obviously where you want your trap. And if it don't work out, like I said, I will switch to, I always carry a couple 10 to 12 foot chunks of chain. And I just have washers with J-hooks welded to them that I'll close on the upper end of the chain for my stake, and at the bottom, and that I will, you know, I carry a couple feed sacks with me that I'll fill up with local whatever's there and throw it out there. I don't like hauling in, you know, tie plates and stuff like that. I'll just fill in a feed sack. The white ones work the best, but they do get ripped up every now and then dragging them in, but still, it's just it works really, really well doing it that way. But back to it here. So you'll see a lot of drowning rods that get made by, you know, fellow trappers and that, and they weld their washer up to the top here for their stake to go through. And you got to put your drowning lock on first before doing that. And I have a pile of drowning rods that I've made over the years that way, and I just leave the lock on. But I do have a few now. I got a few dozen. I got a couple laying around at different places where I ain't got to truck them around so far. I know a few people that don't mind if I store, you know, a few drowning rods in their shed or something that's closer to the location when I come there trapping. But one that I really like, and it only works on this lock, with the 1/2-inch rebar, is you just take yourself a nail and you got one of them trap bending tools where you can just bend this in a vise too around something, and that it's not hard, but you just take a nail and you're gonna bend it in a U like this. And by the time you bend it to where this just fits on the tip of your rebar there, your lock will go over it and down on. So you no longer have to leave your lock on your drowner. Now, what's it matter if your lock's on your drowner? It really doesn't. But I have traps that I use pretty much specifically just for beaver trapping. So with that style drowner, I could throw, you know, because it starts to get a little annoying and it kind of slows you down having to hook it up right there on the set with a quick link, or I use J-hooks on mine. It gives me that extra, when you run your J-hook up through and then close it to your chain, it gives you that extra swiveling action there on your lock as well. But what it does is it saves on time if I just, you know, say I have a pack basket. You've never seen me use one because I don't use one, but I can carry, you know, 4 or 5 rods in this hand and the 4 or 5 footholds in the other hand by the chains, and go down and make my sets. Bottle of lure in the pocket and you're good to go. You can start pounding in some sets. So it saves a little bit of time when I get there. I don't have to crimp my J-hook down onto my trap to hook my trap up to it. Or if you leave your trap hooked to it, which the ones that I have my washers already welded on with drowning locks on, I do, and then my tie-off wire for my tag, you've seen in my other videos, I wrap around and holds everything up at the top, and I carry the rods just fine like that. You find that balance point where you throw them up on your shoulder or where you hold them and walk with them. But this way is a lot quicker. And it sounds like, oh, it's only a couple extra minutes, but when you're moving, anything that makes something a little quicker and easier is definitely a benefit. So you want to get down there and say you're also trying to run your rod in and it's not going in. And so now you're pulling everything back up out. But the way I'll weld this on, and I'll just show you here why it's quicker. This ain't gotta be nothing fancy either. Like I said, you just go pick up a box of common nails and bend them up. Heck, you don't even have to cut the points off or anything. You're gonna weld them right to it. You just have to cut the head off at least so it doesn't catch. Or you smash it flat in a vise or something if you don't even want to waste time cutting them up. It doesn't really matter how long you make this U. You can put it down further on the rod and it doesn't matter. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold this right up to my rod here. And then give it a tack. Just get her held in place there. Alright, so that's welded on there. Now the way it works is, all I'm going to do, there goes on my lock. My lock's on. And there's nothing to worry about because they can't come back up with the lock. That's the whole purpose of the drowning systems here. And 3/8 rebar goes right through it like nothing. And yeah, so what you would do is your trap already has your lock anchored to it. Like I said, I like to use the J hook. I have 2 extra links after another swivel on my trap, and the J hook goes up through like that, and I just close it on there, and it's hooked to my trap. So you can walk down. You ain't got the uneven weight of your trap already hooked up the way I normally do it with the ones that already have the washers welded on. And my stake and everything's all in one system. That works too. But it's a lot of extra weight on that rod, especially if you're going to be carrying 4 or 5 of these down to a beaver location. And especially if you use pack basket or anything, you can throw all your T-bar stakes, all your traps in there, and then your rods in your other hand, or 2 rods in each hand, or whatever, however you lug around your equipment there. But what makes it faster is, so I go in, I'm going to go ahead and I got my set constructed, so I'm going to run my rod out in there, and then I'm going to grab my trap. Like I said, it's in your pack basket. I'm going to grab my trap, I'm going to throw it right over, I'm good. I run my stake, and I'm done. That's it. It's game over for the beaver. And then whenever you're done with the set, you can, since you can control the lock coming back up the rod where the animal can't, you can't literally possibly pull this lock back up this rod. And you, as a trapper, slide your trap, your lock and everything, throw it in your pack basket, carry your beaver with the other hand. That's just another way of doing drowning rods. Like I said, it ain't gotta be nothing super fancy. You just go buy some nails, just get them bent over a loop. You can even, with the way they're gonna bend, you can even just take a piece, just cut a small piece of your 1/2-inch rebar off, put that in the vise, and you can literally just take a pair of channel locks with a nail, or 3/16 round stock. You can't go no bigger than that, because once you do, then your lock doesn't work that way. But you can just bend it around like that, or 2 little pieces of pipe and just bend it around the 1/2 inch, so that way you have it to where it's that size, and there you go. I mean, it's pretty slick to just go like that, and you're all set up. And like I said, there's nothing to worry about here. Even if he pulls it out, he can't come back up the rod and lose the trap, and the washer at the other end is keeping him from going off the other end of the rod. So I figured I'd just share that. If you like making your own drowning rods, they're real quick. You can make drowning rods with a cheap little Chicago Harbor Freight flux core welder, and I mean, you're just welding a nail to a piece of rebar, and save you a bunch of money there. I mean, you could even make these with one of them, and all it is just your 1-inch square tube, and I cut mine at an angle like that. They're about 1 inch long this way, cut at 2 angles, and I weld my thing on the top, bend it, and drill it. But I just figured I'd go ahead and share that. And I hope everyone has a good Memorial Day, and hopefully that was maybe a helpful trick. Like I said, it's about speed when doing it this way. You wouldn't think that, like, even the way I do it with mine, and I have everything all wrapped up into one. What I do is I slide everything up to here, and I take my stake, put it in like this. And since here in PA we got to run our wires up out of the water with a tag and that, my trap's already hooked to this, and all I do is I wrap my wire around and do one lap underneath the lock, and it holds the trap up here, and I wrap it all up, and it's all in one system. That's pretty fast and efficient and a lot easier to carry too. But for absolute speed, I go down over the bank, stomp in a nice little, little cutout for the beaver to stay in the water longer, to go over top of my trap. You've seen how I've done it before. I run this rod out in the water, and also I can now not have to have the rod hooked to the trap while trying to set that trap. I can stand just up and just break the trap over my knees, set it, and we're good to go. The rod's already out there, and you're not messing around with a set trap on the rod, waving it around. You've seen that in my other videos. I wave them things around like crazy. I've been snapped in the side of the thigh, and got caught by the forearm one time, waving it around, stuffing it in there, trap come up and whack you. And then it's also annoying to set it after you already have the rod out in the water. Now, it doesn't always work out to where you have this up high enough to break over your knee, or you're bent down and everything. And the beaver traps are a little bit bigger, more powerful traps. So it does make it nicer to just be able to just set the trap. This is already to the chain. Bam. Stake it down. Throw down your favorite beaver lure you like, and you're off. Super fast and efficient. So the way I do it normally, like I showed there, everything's all wired up. Well, I show up, I make my set, now I gotta unwire everything, I gotta set my trap, and like I already stated, I gotta put that in with the trap set while holding the trap, and that. This way, when nothing's on this, and it is stubborn ground out there, you're not worried about the trap on the end waving around everywhere. You can really reef on this to get it down in, and it just, also makes it a little safer too. But there's plenty of other things out there on the market now for like fiberglass rods. If you like the lighter rods and that, they crimp on, they do the same thing. You don't have to have your trap on the rod already. Very awesome systems out there. I just thought I would share one with a rebar if you like making them yourself and you like using rebar. So that's that, and I'm gonna go ahead and get busy here. I think I'm gonna make some Rocky Bottom 330 stands. I just stopped and picked up some rebar. I didn't like the price of it, but I got it anyways. To make a few to take with me. But then also a couple of different stabilizers. I picked up some 3/8 rebar too, and I don't like the price of that either too much, but that's the way it is in the world right now. So again, happy Memorial Day everyone, and until next time.